guys, it's Allison from Allison's Notebook, and I know I haven't seen you in a while, so sorry about that, but I saw a YouTube video recently that really inspired me, and it was one by Shane Dawson and Graveyard Girl, who's Bunny Meyer, and she talked about some of the reasons why she hadn't been making videos as often, or maybe why her passion wasn't really wrapped up in her channel anymore, and it was really eye-opening to me regarding the reasons why I may not have been making videos over the last 2 years. And I really want to start making videos again, but I feel like I need to start us off on the right foot and kind of share the last 2 years with you guys and what's been going on. I know that a lot of before I say anything else, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you guys know when new videos come out, and make sure you like this video if it's a topic that you're interested in. And with that, I'm just going to get started. So you guys may know, if you followed me for a while, that a couple of my more popular videos had to do with when I stopped drinking, why I stopped drinking, and some of the tips I had in order to avoid drinking. And I'm really proud of those videos and that time in my life. But 2 years ago, or almost that long ago, maybe more, I'm not gonna work out the math, I started drinking again. And I wanted to talk about why. I feel like it's an important part of who I am, and I feel like because I mentioned those videos in the past about why I stopped drinking, I couldn't really be in integrity with you guys without sharing why I started again. And I think that's the reason why I stopped making videos. I wasn't really sure that I could talk about that, and I wasn't really sure what you guys would think about it, and I just decided that I needed to make this video to be honest with everyone who's stuck with my channel, even though I hardly ever make videos. If you guys watch the video, and I'll go ahead and link it below or maybe up here on why I stopped drinking. I won't go into that whole story, but basically at the time that I stopped drinking, I was having a lot of other issues and problems in my life. And I started going to a therapist, and he eventually brought up how much I was drinking and asked me about it and suggested that I get into 12-step recovery. When I got into 12-step recovery, it opened up my eyes to a lot of things I needed to deal with, and I decided to stop drinking. Now, that is the very short version of that story, and like I said, if you guys want more, you can look at those videos. And if you have questions, of course, ask them below. So I stopped drinking, and I didn't drink for 4 or 5 years, and I can honestly say it was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I had a lot of self-esteem issues back then. I had a lot of relationship quirks that I kept running into that I didn't know how to change. I do think that I was drinking a lot back then. I was definitely drinking more than I do now. And I was drinking for a lot of the wrong reasons. I drank alone a lot. I like to get drunk alone a lot. So all of those things, I think, created this picture of a relationship with alcohol that was really unhealthy. Now, all of this said, and the fact that I don't drink, that doesn't mean that I don't believe that alcoholism is a real physiological issue for some people. So fast forward, after I got married, that's when I started, even before I got married, I really started to question whether or not I was a real alcoholic. And there was a lot of things that made me question that. One of the things was there was a lot of things that were said in recovery rooms that I didn't necessarily identify with, even from the beginning. And so that was one of a few reasons that made me question whether or not I was a real alcoholic. Another thing was that at the time that I labeled myself as an alcoholic or a problem drinker, I had a lot of other outside influences. I was heavily involved in a church that really dictated a lot of my opinion about myself. I'm not saying that all churches do that, but the one that I went to kind of had a heavy hand in my life at the time, which I don't think was the healthiest relationship. I also had mentors, and back then I was just very easily influenced by others' opinions of myself, and that goes back to having some quirks and some relationship issues and some family issues that I'd never dealt with or never processed. So when I stopped drinking and I got into therapy and I learned all of these new ways to deal with feelings and conflicts and all kinds of other things. I did therapy for 2 years, and I did group therapy for another 1 or 2 years after that, and it was life-changing. And I feel like it taught me a lot of skills that really everyone should learn, but that I especially needed because I didn't know how to teach those things to myself. Anyway, I started to question whether or not I was an alcoholic, and there's something when you're in recovery called controlled drinking, where you basically, my cat's about to knock this off the table, called controlled drinking, where you basically try to only have, a drink a day or a sip of something, and to see if you can stop yourself. And if you can stop yourself consistently, it's a sign that maybe you don't have a problem with alcohol. Because when you do have a sip of alcohol, if you're a physiological alcoholic, you'll experience something called the phenomenon of craving, which means that you basically have an insatiable desire to keep drinking until you get drunk. I'm afraid if I put him down, he's gonna knock over the camera. So I started controlled drinking. We had a lot of beer in the house because my husband likes to drink, and so I would have a couple sips of alcohol, and then I would throw it away. And I know that's wasteful. And I also wasn't telling anyone at the time that I even wanted to try this because I wanted to know what it felt like and what happened without the influence of anybody else's opinion. So I did that for a few weeks as an experiment before telling my husband that I wanted to try drinking with him. I told him that I'd had a few sips of alcohol for a couple days just to see how I was feeling, how it felt. I didn't have any cravings for more alcohol or to get drunk, and that I felt comfortable trying to have a glass of wine with him for dinner at times. And so we started doing that together. He was hesitant, but he was also very supportive, which is very much like him. He is always very supportive of me following my intuition and doing the things that I feel like I need to do. And I'm really grateful for that because I feel like I'm in a relationship where I feel all of the support that I need while also feeling very independent at the same time. And so after, I don't know, maybe a month or two of doing that with him, gaining confidence, seeing myself drink successfully in social situations and at the house when I wasn't supervised, I felt comfortable finally starting to tell other people that I was starting to drink. And I told the people first who still didn't drink because I didn't want them to feel abandoned, or I wanted them to know that I put a lot of thinking behind this. And a lot of people were cautious because they knew the reasons why I stopped drinking in the first place, even though no one in my life knew me from back then. So much has changed in my life. All of those things add up to be a big picture that says that back in my past, I had a problem with drinking, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I was physiologically an alcoholic. Now, I will say, just like I said earlier in the video, that does not mean that I don't believe that there are people who are physiological alcoholics who can't drink because they experience this phenomenon of craving and they can't stop themselves. If you're someone that thinks you may have a drinking problem, try controlled drinking. See if you can have a sip over the course of several days. See if you can have one beer as opposed to 2 or more over the course of several days. If you can't, it might be an indication that you have a bigger problem than just a heavy drinking problem. So I really appreciate you guys watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up. If you're grateful that I told my story, leave me some comments if you identify with anything I said below, or if you have any questions for me. And like I said, I'm really excited to start making more videos again, and I will see you next week. Bye.
Even my cat loves your show.